All right, everybody. I know that this will be a little bit different than what you've experienced with Professor Gilmore, and it may not be perfect for what I want or what you want for this, but I thought I'd give it a try, kind of save some of you uh, the travel time and things like that, especially since if you have to do one class virtually and then try to figure out how to get here in time, that's just wasn't feasible for everybody. So I'm going to give this a shot. Just to kind of review some things we talked about, this is kind of where we began with the whole application hiring process. Um, and I know we talked about the written exam, physical evaluation, and psychological assessment. And we didn't really go into polygraph a whole lot because typically a polygraph, it varies just like psychological assessment can vary a little bit about where it fits into all of it. But that'll be something that the polygraph will be something I can talk about later if need be. Right now, like I said, uh, we've already discussed kind of what to expect on the written exam, what type of questions it will be. We already talked about, you should already know what the physical evaluation expectations are for your entry and exit standards for Indiana, especially. But then we talked a little bit about the different oral interviews, whether it be that individual interview with a detective or someone with that agency. Like I said, it depends on the size of your agency and how it's set up about whether it's going to be. It may be as simple as something if a very small department may just have you meet with, say, a chief if it's a city, or even if it's a small county, you may be meeting with, it could be the sheriff, but more than likely it'd be like, say, the chief deputy, something like that. Um, but then you have your merit board meetings, which are your, going back here, excuse me, here, for your interviews that you would have that are like panel interviews. Like I said, Indiana State Police had a 4-person panel, which you'll see in some of the stuff the videos I'm going to show clips of today. And then also, um, Illinois had a 3-panel. I know cities sometimes have about the same thing. Maybe city council members, maybe just an actual merit board. But either way, I don't want to dwell on that too much because we already talked a little bit about that in class. Background investigation, we talked about that. That can last anywhere from, for smaller departments, it may only last a couple months, all the way to like if you go to state or even federal agencies or large cities, but especially state or federal, you're looking at roughly say 6 to 9 months of background investigation, the hiring process itself taking 9 months, sometimes a little bit more, but roughly right around that ballpark of 9 months for your larger departments or, like I said, state agencies, for example. And then the medical and drug screening part is pretty straightforward. You go in and you see if you're medically fit. You are tested for your vision, which, by the way, is something I know that I've talked to some of you that you had issues with, like, oh, I don't know if I'll have good enough vision. That's not unless you are truly legally blind, that won't be an issue. And in fact, I actually know of an officer who's currently working who was, by all means, was borderline on that. But as long as he had his, as long as he was wearing his glasses, um, or someday he can actually get LASIK if he needs to, he qualifies for that. Um, Either way, he can still be a police officer. So uh, he's not blind, but his vision is really poor without the glasses. Um, so either way, it's not anything beyond your realm. So beyond that, there's the hearing test, the um, overall, physical evaluation of your, say, heart. They'll test that. Your overall body. Are you capable of getting to and through not only the academy, but in this job? Are there any underlying issues that would keep you from being able to do your job effectively? Drug screening, that's pretty obvious. You shouldn't be on any drugs when you're actually trying to be in law enforcement. So um, the medical evaluation beyond that, for example, the Indiana State Police, when I tested with them, they had me do a VO2 max test, put you on a treadmill, let you start off walking, pick up the pace every couple minutes. And if you want to, you can tell them to pick it up even faster. But either way, you do that. You do the what I call the plank test. Basically, you get in a plank position on your elbows, and then you hold that position for as long as you can. Something I do want to point out about the physical testing and medical and all that stuff, but especially the physical part, kind of go back to that a little bit. It's obvious that in written you should do your best, but even physical tests, I know there are agencies out there, such as, I'm not trying to pick on them as a negative example, just an example, period, that Evansville Police Department, when they have individuals test, they will tell them to get to the minimum and stop. So since everybody understands push-ups pretty well, it's easy to relate. Um, if you get to 25, which is the minimum, they tell you to stop at 25. Whereas any other testing I've had with, like I said, Illinois or Indiana, they want you to do your best. And the reason they want you to do your best is to just, for one, uh, see where you truly are physically. Um, because sometimes hiring can come down to that. If everybody else is equal, or if two people are equal in every other way, that's the part that they will look at and say this person is probably going to be better capable of handling the stress because they're already physically capable of handling that aspect of it. But I would recommend doing your best because it demonstrates where you're at. It also demonstrates a competitive nature, which is good and I won't say necessary, but definitely helpful in the environment that you'll be working in. Uh, it um, and also what you'll find out is that first day you show up for the academy, if it's not the first day, it's usually in the first few days, they will retest you to see where you are, see if you still meet the standards, because if not, they'll tell you to go home. But see if you still meet the standards, and also see they will expect you to have improved from the time you tested originally to the time you show up for the academy. You're not supposed to just get the testing done and then just sit around the couch and do nothing until the academy rolls up. You don't wait until the academy to be in shape or be ready. You have to consider, you have to get yourself ready. And that way, also, even if you did really well during the first physical assessment, they will expect you to be at that level or better when you show up to the academy. So I just thought I'd throw that out there, and just to let you know kind of how they view it. So getting back to some of this, what I want to do is show you a couple pieces of or parts of different videos. This first one's going to talk to you more so about the process itself, the people that you might come in contact with, as far as other applicants, and you'll see little tidbits of what it's like at the academy. I'll kind of explain those a little bit more, but you'll have to forgive me ahead of time, because sometimes like the audio on this for some reason is being a pain, and so I have to try to manipulate it as best I can, but it will probably be pretty low. The volume on the YouTube video will be low. I'm going to make that available to you to watch on your own, but you can watch it as a part of here. Just understand that the volume will be pretty low as it is. So give me a second here to adjust the volume as best I can, and then we'll get rolling on it.
Never allowed cameras before.
Happy Day celebrate! 5, sir. Okay, so why you got 5 on you? So you don't want to follow instructions, right? Sir.
Through the physical, mental, emotional feats, as thousands try to pass the trooper test.
I'm not speaking loud enough!
Because if you can't handle this, you definitely won't make it out here when it's a matter of life or death. But before stepping foot in the academy, it all starts here. 1,400 wanted to join the 74th ISP recruit class, but you are looking at the 1,000 who made the first cut and were invited to take the written exam. This is the SAT of the ISP.
It is based on what a trooper would do from one day to the next.
The candidates come from all over, and you're getting a raw look at the people who want to protect you.
My name is DeMarquius Harvey.
I'm married and I have two young kids.
I'll be 32 on the 1st of December.
I'm a third-year law student.
I'm very shy.
I'm kind of a jack of all trades.
I want to make the difference in the world.
Each man or woman has a unique reason, their own story for why they're here.
Application deadline for this was coming up.
I actually got accepted 2 years ago to the police academy. However, I had to drop out for personal reasons.
This is my second chance.
Which become a cop since I was a little kid, so
To help people.
protect and serve.
Kind of want to be superintendent one day.
Right there.
For others, it's deeper.
When I was little, I had a cousin, Brittany Hott. She was murdered. And from there, when the officers found the people who did it, it really brought like our family a good relief. And I want to be that relief for other families.
No matter who they are, they're just like you and me, and they all have fears about the unknown.
Well, I'm pretty nervous about the interview process. I'm not the best at interviews.
I'm good at interviews, like one-on-one. But when you put me in front of 4 people asking me questions,
5 pairs of White Sox. Where are you going to pull socks out this time?
Honestly, what freaks me out the most is doing push-ups. Of all things, I just want to get 25 push-ups, and then I'll be okay.
Take that bag off the deck.
But will she make the cut? It takes more than just hopes and dreams to make the 74th recruit class. And you're going to see these men and women stretch to the limit. The guts, the sweat, the tears it takes to be an Indiana State Trooper. Aisha Husney, Fox 59 News.
All right. So that kind of gives you a little glimpse into really what it's typically, like. That the clip you saw there where everybody was in, like suits and stuff like that. That's typically your first day there at the academy. They haven't, in some of these videos, they won't show all the different details of what actually happens. We can go into that in greater detail later. But that first day, they're basically checking to make sure they get you on task, get you mentally ready, and say, okay, you might as well bump up the stress levels immediately. The only difference I see there, I mean, granted, you didn't get to see them start their cars and then walk in and stuff like that. So typically, what they will do is when you get there, first of all, you have a prescribed time that you have to get there, a window. It's not just like go and hang out there. You have a window that you have to show up by. They will have you line up in alphabetical order or something along those lines. Typically, it's alphabetical. And then they will do inspections on your vehicles, on you, on the equipment you have. That's before you even get inside. And all that, in essence, yelling that you see inside is still done outside too. So, it's and they're expecting you to be able to do things right when they say them and exactly how they say them. And they may give, multiple. We called them counselors. Multiple counselors will give you different directions, and you have to be able to, in essence, navigate that whole thing of making sure you do what you are told. And if you don't, you have to fix it, basically. Attention to detail is important to them, as it should be. So because I have a little bit of a limit on these videos, unfortunately, I'm set up right now to where I can only do about 15 minutes. It's actually like more like 16, but I try to cut it to 15. Plus, I know that you guys, after listening for a little bit, you'd probably like a little bit of a break. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to finish this up. We are going to take a break, and then you can start right back in on the second video. I'll go into a little more depth about the academy and, like I said, eventually get into the FTO